What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing okay, doing well. Um, yeah, I feel led to share this dream that I had last week. So I'm gonna share it with you guys, and I just want to say this too. This may be a message for someone because I'm led to share it. I kind of been like sitting on this dream for like over a week. Um, I don't know about you guys, but dreams have been very, very like vivid, very active, very consistent. Like the dream time for me, like I'm a dreamer by nature. Like I, that's the way the God speaks to me is through my dreams. Um, like one of the top ways that But I feel like for everyone, dreams, everyone can dream, and God can speak to everyone through the dreams. But so I wanted to share this dream with you guys, and I feel like it might be a message in it for some of you. So forgive me if I kind of like take my time and then I might like remember something and then go back. Um, yeah, they have been very, very vivid. So also Spirit showed me Joseph as well. Something about Joseph, and you guys know how I am, like the Bible characters and stuff, like they speak messages. They're messengers. So when I get like names and stuff that come to me, I'm gonna like backtrack. So the video that I did last Sunday, was it Monday? I don't remember when I posted it, but it was a dream I had about the women on the airplane. And hey, greetings. I had a dream about the women on the airplane, and someone that I read for and stuff, she hit me up, she emailed me, and she was like, girl, everything that you said in that dream, like basically it was confirming where she's at currently right now. And she said that she got the a certain position or whatever the same day that I had the dream, the same date. So that's crazy. And she mentioned The Prince of Egypt, which is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. She mentioned The Prince of Egypt and The King of Dreams, Joseph, the King of Dreams, which is also a DreamWorks movie. Animation is kind of similar to like The Prince of Egypt. And I kind of overlooked it because I've seen it come up before on YouTube, and I never watched it. I never even knew that it was a DreamWorks movie. Like I just thought it was like some movie or whatever, and I never really paid too much attention to the story of Joseph. But his story has been coming to me a lot, and she mentioned that she's like, yeah, I might go ahead and watch those two movies. Blah blah blah. Those are my favorite movies. So I took it upon myself on Monday to watch it for the first time. I've heard the story of Joseph. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. I'm going to share it with you guys because it might be a message within that. And I want to say this. This was a disclaimer that I said in another video, that do not discard messages because they don't come in the form of what you're used to. Just because you don't read the Bible or you may not be Christian and all of that does not necessarily mean that you still can't find a message in something for you. If it's being given to you, if it's meant for you to hear it, you know, take it if it's meant for you. If it's not, of course, then discard it, but don't discard it because it's not coming from a familiar place, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, we don't want to block our blessings because we're going, oh, it's not for me, or oh, I don't want to hear that because, you know what I mean? Like, I believe that the divine speaks in so many different ways. I just happen to find a lot of inspiration and a lot of encouragement through hearing different stories in the Bible because they can apply to our daily life. But the story of Joseph, um, he was he the 12th or was he the 13th brother? I think he was the 12th brother. So the 12 tribes basically is what his brothers represent. Um, yeah, we got to be mindful of that. I used to do that too, to be honest. I didn't want to hear certain things, and I learned that I can't discard the messages because it's not what I want to hear, or let's say it's not coming from the voice I want to hear. Like, oh, here goes this Christian shit again. I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I had to check myself on that. But yeah. So the story of Joseph, he was the youngest. He was not born of the same mother that his older brothers were. He had a different mother, and he was favored by his father and his mother, and his brothers, kind of despised it. They were jealous of him. And how the movie depicted it was is that while his brothers, they would always have to work out in the fields, and they would have to take care of the animals and stuff. Joseph would be reading scribes. He would be reading different languages, or learning different languages, and learning how to write in different languages and things like that. And he was like, why can't I like do what my brothers do? And his father was like, because you've been called to do something different with your life. You have a purpose that's different. God's called you to something, right? And one of the things that he discovered was he had the ability to dream prophetically. So the first dream that he has was like something with his sheep's being attacked by wolves or something like that. And then it did come to pass. It might have, I think it manifested a little differently, but he had that dream. And then he had a dream, and this might be something that Spirit wants to say to somebody out here, because when you share some of your dreams with people, you got to be careful of that, because some people might hear it and they might kind of get jealous. And Spirit might be telling you to be mindful of what you say, because there's certain times where Spirit will guide me to say certain things and share it with you guys, but there's certain things that I'm meant to withhold, because not everybody that has an ear that watches and listens to my channel has my best intentions. And for some of you, you might have people around you that don't either, or just people that in their heart they may think that they have your best intentions, or they may really care about you, but it might be an instant of something that's being said or being shown that triggers them or makes them feel jealous or something. But you just got to be discerning not to share all of your intimate moments that you have with the divine with everybody. um but Joseph, I won't say he made a mistake, but he went ahead and he shared the dream about all his brothers bowing to him. And they already had jealousy towards him. They already felt like he was favored. His mother had made a jacket for him that was, a special jacket, a coat. And they talk about that coat as well as a scripture, but they were jealous. So, long story short, his brothers sold him into slavery, and they lied to their father and told him that, he died or something bad happened to him. So, all those years, they sold him into slavery, and he ends up being sold as a slave in Egypt, which is not his native land. So he gets to Egypt, and he's small. He's never worked a day in his life, so he's not buff. He's not strong like the other slaves were. So they kept him as a house slave. So, hey, Mimi, they kept him as a house slave instead, and that actually ended up being favor for him, because he could get acquainted with everyone in the palace, and he had a good rapport with the king. He had a good rapport with him. But one thing that did happen was that the king's wife tried to come on to him sexually, and when he, discarded her, when he denied her, she tried to, get him in trouble, and it ended up putting him in prison. So it was kind of like, we can get to a place, and this is the thing about the divine, that the divine would what is always meant to be, and I'm skipping ahead, but what is meant to be and ordained, it's not going to be blocked. It never can be blocked. There might be delays, there might be things that happen. And there was a song in the movie, and he was saying, you know better than I. You know better than me. I don't know everything. Meaning, God knows all. I don't know. You know the plans. I'm sitting here in this prison. I don't know why I'm here, but you have a greater plan for me. So him telling his brothers, the dreams that he had, their jealousy caused him to be, put in a place of slavery, but it will end up being his blessing, and him being a blessing to his brothers and their family and his land. So I'm skipping too far ahead, but while Joseph is in prison, he meets two prisoners, and they're like, oh, you can interpret dreams, huh? So interpret mine, right? And he interpreted this one man's dream, and he told him, the Pharaoh is going to come get you in 3 days, and you're going to move back into the palace, right? Then the second guy is like, I keep having this dream, this happening to me, that happened to me. He said, they're going to behead you. At first, he didn't want to share the dream. And this is the thing, too, about people that have prophetic giftings. People think that because we can see things, that, you know, we can just be a gumball machine or a 8-ball machine and just tell you your futures and all of that and tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes there's messages that we don't want to share with you, but we have to, because there's blood on our hands if we don't say it. If I see something that is a warning and I don't tell you because I don't want to um, risk the fact that I might lose a client or I might lose subscribers or I might get some backlash or whatever. And sometimes I do, you know, sometimes be like, God, do I really have to say this? Do I really have to say that? And yeah, you do. Because I'm not a respecter of persons, and either is God. Like, I'm not here to win your approval. Mine is to be in good standing with my creator. And if it's something that I'm meant to like say, I'm going to say it, especially if it's going to help somebody. May not be what you want to hear at the time, but it will be helpful later on. And same with me, if someone says something to me, it may not be something I want to hear at the time, but if it's meant to save my life or it's meant to help get me on track, so be it. So he told the man that he was going to be beheaded, right? And both things came to pass. The one guy, he did get moved back into the palace because he was wrongfully accused, and then the guy, he ended up getting beheaded. But Joseph was like, tell the Pharaoh about me. Tell him about my prophetic gift. Long story short, the Pharaoh has this dream that none of his sorcerers, none of his people can read they can't interpret the dream. They weren't able to. They consulted all their gods, all their Egyptian gods, and all this stuff. They were not able to interpret the Pharaoh's dream. And I don't know the whole story of that. Like, I didn't know what the dream was. So when the Pharaoh had called Joseph, because he was like, the Pharaoh, he said one of his slaves said that you know how to interpret dreams. So they called him to the palace to meet with the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh was explaining the dream, and I was able to decode it too. I was like, oh, that's famine. That's famine on the land. That's funny. But yeah, long story short, he was like, okay, that's famine. And he gave him a solution on how to avoid famine in the land. So he was able to interpret the dreams, and they gave Joseph the assignment to like help with the, you know, the distribution and the growing of the grain and the food and all of that for the land of Egypt to avoid that, because what did come to pass was that they did have a drought or something like that, but they had stuff stored ahead of time. So they ended up promoting Joseph in the land as a king. He became a king in his land. So again, the promise is still going to stand, and your gifting, like, it could feel like a gift and a curse. So him being put in those positions, he was still needed, he was still useful, right? And then fast forward, his brothers, I guess, in his hometown, Joseph's brothers, they came to Egypt because they didn't have any food in their land. And Joseph recognizes them, but they don't recognize that that's Joseph, that's the king. So he invites them to his palace or whatever to have dinner and all of that. But he does some foul stuff. Long story short, he kind of, you know, he was prideful. He was being egotistical and like trying to get back at his brothers for what they did to him. And they ended up confessing what they did to their brother, that they lied and they sold him to slavery because they were jealous. And then he ends up telling them who he was, and then they forgive each other. But they bowed to him, and that's where it triggered his dream that he had when he was younger, where he seen his brothers like in 12 stars. I think they were like in a circle, and they were bowing to him because at that time they thought they were bowing to a king. But I mean, he was a king, but it's their brother. But long story short, he ends up bringing them into the land, their families into the land. So he blesses all of them. So the dream that, I don't know who this is for. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know. I just meant to share it, I guess. Some of you guys do have giftings and dreams. I do believe that. Like, to where, because Spirit gives everybody dreams and they give us messages, but some of you guys might have the gifting to interpret dreams, to be a messenger from your dreams as well, and it could be beneficial to someone. Now, I would say this too, that with that, you're going to have to be okay with the fact that not everybody's going to like what you have to say. They may not want to hear what you have to say, or they may not like it. But, and another thing too that I'm learning is discernment when you're interpreting dreams, because if you're not getting the answer directly from the divine that says, yeah, this is what I'm telling you, this is the dream, don't lean on your own interpretation and be like, oh, maybe it means this. Don't ever do that. Spirit got me with this yesterday. I had this dream. I'm not going to tell you guys too much. I don't want to get too much into my business, but I had this dream. Um, yeah, I had this dream, and I was like, okay, I'm thinking it's something, in particular for myself. And I kept asking, like, Spirit, what are you trying to say? What does this mean? I didn't get the clarity on it, so I kind of settled on my own interpretation, right? Dangerous, don't ever do that. So yesterday, Spirit kind of slapped me in the face with something like, no, I wasn't saying that literally. I was showing you a heads up of something. And I seen it and I was like, oh, okay. Kind of disappointed. It wasn't meant for me, but it was something that Spirit was giving me a heads up about. And that's why Spirit was like trying to protect me a little bit from getting too far ahead of myself. So when you have dreams about things, make sure that you're seeking out divine interpretation, and you're not just leaning on your own, oh, maybe it's this. And because when it comes to when the divine speaks, when in your soul and your higher self, when you know something, it's a certainty. You have a knowledge first of what it's saying. You know what it's saying, and you understand what it's saying. Those two key components are very important. If there's confusion, if there's fear, if there's uncertainty, then that means that you don't have the full picture, or it may not be divine speaking. So you got to kind of sit on it for a second. Just be patient until you have the knowing and the understanding of what's being said or what's going on. And that's with anything, not just dreams. If you're asking Spirit, oh, should I invest in such and such, blah, 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 in this, should I spend money on this thing? And you're just still conflicted. You don't have a certain understanding of, yes, knowledge, yeah, why you wanting to invest in this or why you need to invest in it. You're confused, you're going back and forth, you're questioning yourself, you're asking this person, that person. Then it most likely is you don't have a clear yes or a clear go ahead. You never want to move prematurely on things or make assumptions about anything. So for whoever this is as a messenger, same thing. If you don't have understanding of something, you don't have a know of something, don't do it. um and sometimes we only get a piece of something. Like, Spirit will reveal things to us in pieces, and we just stand on that one thing and be like, okay, I trust that you're going to reveal the rest to me. But if you don't have any go, you don't have any unction or a peace or a stillness in something, don't act upon that. Don't make assumptions. So yeah. So act on your dreams. So I'm going to get into the dream. I said all that to get to this. So in this dream I had, this was actually on January 2nd. When was January 2nd? That was last Sunday, a week from today, actually. Yeah. So I had this dream on the 2nd. It was nighttime in my neighborhood. It was very dark out. I was with one of my friends in real life. She was in my dream. And we see this girl. She looks like she's trying to like be helped or something. Like she's waiting for something. And she was standing in front of a gate, and she was holding this really big teddy bear. She was holding this green teddy bear. It was like a dark, like a forest green color, kind of like those big Christmas teddy bears, but it was like green, like a velvet green teddy bear. And there was this woman like on the other line or something. Like she was calling the girl, and she was asking her if she was the delivery driver or something. And what was weird was like, why would the girl be a delivery driver? Because she was on a bike. And I know some people like that deliver Uber Eats and stuff, they might ride bikes and stuff, but it, like, we knew in the dream, me and my friend were like, why would she ask that? Like, that's weird. Um, But I felt like this woman, it was like she was being entitled. It was like a Karen type of attitude, like an entitlement. Like, oh, are you the person that's supposed to be delivering for me or picking me up or whatever the Uber service or Lyft, whatever it was. She was like, entitled and kind of like ignorant and foolish in her assumption. She was like assuming. Um, I just got a weird vibe from that lady. But anyway, my friend, she opens the gate. It was a gate in front of us, and she opens it. She opens a gate to let us in. Um, because the girl, I guess the girl that was trying to get there, she was trying to gift this teddy bear to her lover, her partner or whatever. So she let her in, the girl, and then the dream switches, which is interesting. Um, the dream switches to us walking past this like indoor basketball court, it looked like. And this basketball court was really like, it was nice. Like it was a court that NBA players go, I guess, to what do you call it, to practice. Excuse me, I was about to say to study. That's interesting. Okay. To practice. So we seen like, it looked like NBA players, like it looked like the Suns and the Lakers. And because I'm from Phoenix, I guess Spirit used the Suns for a reason. I don't know why. And then the Lakers, like their colors are the yellows and stuff like that. I seen it in the dream. Um, so we're passing by this court, and the court has these glass, it's like glass everywhere, like you could see through the court. It was really like big windows, like big glass, like I don't know how to explain it. And there's a level of different steps that we have to walk up, so we start walking up these different stairs. And then when they took their break, we noticed that they took a break. Me and my friend were walking up these stairs, and then we noticed that the NBA players are looking at us, which is weird or whatever. So we just like minding our business or whatever. And then I start feeling shy. Like I try to hide myself, and I try to walk faster up the stairs to like avoid the gaze, I guess. I was like embarrassed, and my friend, she was like confident. She was like, "Ooh, look at them, blah blah blah." And I'm just like, "Girl, keep walking up the stairs." Like I was so embarrassed. And one thing that I noticed, I have my notes. So you might hear my pages turning, but one thing that I noticed is that my shoes were untied. I was wearing like these pink boots, and I kept being distracted by my shoestrings, and I was like trying to fix my shoes. And I remember I shared another dream with you guys before where I had issues with my shoes, and um, I was trying to buckle my shoes back. And in this dream, my shoes were untied, and I was so focused on that. So we get to another level, and it takes us up to this other door. And this door, it's like it's like a white light in the door. It's weird. Like we can't see what's on the other side of it. It's completely just light. We can tell that it's a room in there, but it almost looks like a white room, and it was just completely white, which is weird. So that's where the dream ends. So um my friend in the dream was a helpmate. Yeah. Um my friend, she represented a helpmate, but the other girl in the dream, she could also represent a helpmate as well. And one thing that stood out to me was she had a big teddy bear. Teddy bears can represent the love of God, or the love of Christ, or the gift of love. I'll never forget that meme. It always stands out to me. When I seen that teddy bear, reminded me of this picture with the little girl with this little old raggedy teddy bear, and there's a picture of Jesus in front of her, and he has this big teddy bear behind him waiting to give it to the little girl if she was to give up that old teddy bear. So I don't know what that might, just piecing it all together. um Athletes in basketball can represent competing in life, or the game of life, is something I was picking up. The gym or the court can represent the strengthening of your spirit body, um, your spirit body, your spirit man, as they call it. So working on your spiritual self. that's another thing. So the fact that there was these two teams, like they were practicing together. They weren't actually competing, but in the game, that's what they're doing, right? When they actually play the game. Um, what I got from that was I'm getting like you got I don't know, this dream sounds like an elevation, and there's many hangups that we can have that can block us from getting to where we need to be. We can have everybody, we can have certain people in place to help us. But if we are in a place where we feel inadequate, or we feel like we're not ready, or our spirit is not in full alignment, in full agreement with what's going on, we can kind of get caught up and swept up in the game of life, or competing with what everybody else is doing. And you got to stay focused, because that's one thing too, was like we were going up these stairs, we could have been easily distracted by everything that was going around us. Even though we did notice the NBA players and stuff, we recognized the scenery that we were in, we were getting up those stairs. It was like there was a mission, like we're going to get to these stairs, which was interesting. um the bicycle in the dream, the girl on the bike, movement through life. So again, it's like spirit, I don't know who this is for, but spirit may be trying to get you somewhere. You're appointed to go somewhere. And stairs, also I'll get to the stairs and the meaning of that as well, but trying to get you somewhere. And we can block ourselves by our hangups, no matter who's around helping us. So I looked up what Lakers mean. So Lakers comes from the land of 100 lakes, which originally comes from Minnesota. I guess it was a name that they created, or the team was originally from Minnesota or something like that. But the official nickname in French, translated into English, is the Star of the North. Actually, is what Lakers means, or the nickname, the Star of the North. That's the North Star. That's destiny. That's your fate. So something with that. And then the suns, the Phoenix suns. Sun in itself is the presence of God, or the Son of God. That's what I interpret it as, the sun, or could even be light, positive things, blessings, renewal. The practice in the game is them prepping for something. They're preparing for something. For some of you, like Phoenix might mean something to you. Minnesota, LA, Seattle might mean something to you. Um, I was led to look up the significance of lakes biblically. Like, this is just what I was led to do. And it led me to the famous story where Jesus is fishing with his disciples. It's called the fish miracle, or the 153 fish miracle. 153. That number might be significant to someone. It equals number 9. If you break it down in one single digit, it's 9. And again, it goes back to the whole North Star thing. When I think of the North Star, I think of the Hermit card in the tarot, which is the ninth major arcana, and he's carrying that star in his lantern. Okay, so some of you guys are being led out of your hermit mode stages, out of your hiding places, into coming out and stepping into your divine alignments. Um, but yeah, the fishing story is in John 21, verse 1 through 14, if anybody is interested. But basically, it representing having faith in God, because that story, they weren't able to catch any fish until Jesus showed up, but they didn't even know that that was Jesus. They're like, who is this man? Because at this point, Jesus had passed, right? And he came, and they're like, who is this man helping us? So it was kind of like weird that he showed up, right? And they didn't believe that it was him until he sat down and had communion with them, and they ate the fish. They cooked the fish and they ate together. That's how they knew that it was him. But it's faith even when you don't see the presence of the divine in something, where it feels like you're just kind of like out and about by yourself, that hermit energy where you're coming out with your lantern. All you have is that light to guide you, but you don't see the presence of the divine. Know that the divine is always working. And that's the Joseph story as well. Thank you, Spirit. You just brought it home. Thank you. Even when it doesn't seem like the divine is working in your favor, or working with you, or in the midst of where you're at, or when you're in the middle of something testy or a dark period, and it could seem like he's not there. And I say he, but then the all is not there. They are there. So even in doubt, the gift of the Holy Spirit is always there. always. 153, when I looked up the spiritual meaning of that, again, like I said, it brought me to the North Star, the North Node, or the Hermit. But it also says the 153 nations. So at the time of, I guess, at that time in the Bible, it was 153 nations at that time of the children of the kingdom, which that's who we are. We are the children of the kingdom. Anyway, but what I got from this too, from the dream spirit, made me write this down. Qualities where we need growth and development are coming up. My embarrassment and my shyness and self consciousness was a big thing um, that came up for me. That was a big thing. Was I noticed the shyness? I noticed I was trying to hide myself. Then you got the stairs. Stairs represent step by step progression or revelation. But I also took, for me, what I see it as is elevation, ascending, ascension. Doorways, they represent one's mouth or an opening of a new path. The light in the doorway symbolizing the divine, the most high, or the word of the most high. And then a scripture came to me with this. I should have used it as a thumbnail. I'm going to use this as a thumbnail because I was at my mom's boyfriend's house. We all spent, me and her, we spent New Year's at his house. And in his bathroom, there's a candle. And it says, ask, seek, and knock. And it's scripture Matthew 7:7. And 77 used to stalk me all the time. That number would always stalk me. I'm just thinking about that. But it says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock the door and it will be open to you. So another thing that came to me too, the word of God shall never return to you void. Anything that the Most High says, it will never return to you void. God is not a man that he should lie, is what they say, right? It's scripture. We don't, God meaning God does not work like man and woman. That, we can renege back on our word and be like, yeah, I said I was going to, do that favor for you, but I can't. God doesn't do that. God never reneges back on their word. So that's one thing. I don't know what that might mean to somebody, but yeah, what I get from this is like, do not be distracted by what everybody else is doing, where everybody else is out on their journey, how fast they're getting there, how slow they're getting there, competing with this person, competing with life. Oh, I got to be here, I got to be there. Focus on your own path and what spirit is doing with you, what God is doing with you, where you're being led. Focus on working on your hangups, your, healing those hangups that you might have, where you question yourself, where you doubt your abilities, your gifts. And don't allow that to be the thing that keeps you stuck. And there's something with helpmates, people being helpers, divine helpers on your path, your journey, to get you to where you need to be. Doors, for me, is something with doors. I I've been saying this for the past few months. I don't know who been listening, but it's something with doors that keep coming up in my messages. And I feel like for those of you that resonate with this, like, those doors, again, it represents a path that no one else is paying attention to. No one else is seeing these things. It's not meant for everyone. It's not meant for people to get it or to see it. It's a door that is meant for you to walk through, to get you to where you need to be. And if you're distracted with everybody else is doing, thank you, God, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. And thank goodness you have helpers. And it sounds very reminiscent to that other dream that I had with that girl. Remember, I was telling you my buckle was off, and I kept trying to fix it because I felt embarrassed about the shoes I had on. So you might be given an opportunity and you'll be like, oh, well, I'm not ready. I don't feel prepared. I don't have this ready. Or my appearance, I don't feel like I'm prepared in my appearance. Or I don't like what I have on. Or what if they don't like me and all that stuff. Or wherever it is that this door is representing, that you can't be stuck by that. Like, it's time to get it going. And I was struggling with my shoe in one of those other dreams to get across the crosswalk, and this girl, she was helping me, and she was getting me across the street. She helped me. So there's something with, anytime you see women helping in a dream, they represent helpmates. It could be wives, but that's up for interpretation based off of, if it's something surrounding like marriage or something. But as far as like help, um and actual like someone helping you out in the dream, those are helpers. And my friend, I looked up what her name means. Her name represents height or being tall. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's an angel. So she represented an angel in my dream that was trying to help me. So yeah, they're trying to get you to where you need to go, and you cannot be distracted. And the power is in our mouth, in our tongue. Those doors also represent our mouth, power of our tongue, the power of our word. Knock, ask, seek, and knock, and you shall find. The door will open. The door will be open unto you, and that means anything that we're seeking, we're asking, we're earnestly seeking and knocking, we're gonna find it. Whether that's a good or bad thing, but I feel like in this instance it's positive because there was a light in the dream. There's a lot of light. Oh, I almost skipped something. That woman in the dream that was trying to like call in and be like, "Oh, is that my ride?" Um, I feel like this could be people that are trying to discourage you, distract you, um, may try to convince you that the promise doesn't belong to you, or you don't belong, or you're not good enough, or you don't deserve it. For whatever reason, they feel like their personal feelings, like you don't deserve something, or you don't, you know what I mean? Like trying to distract you. Spirit uses, like, anytime that they show me a certain type of person in my dream, like a certain look in my dream, I know those are enemies. Those are infiltrating spirits, because they always come. They're demons in my dreams. Every time there's some type of awkward energy, weird energy, or people doing something evil or doing something wrong, they look like the same type of people. And this woman, she was one of those people. So I'm like, nah, she's a distraction in the dream. She was an interference. It's kind of like in the Matrix, where you see those little glitches, those different little things in the Matrix. She was like, that was her. She was a glitch. She was a distraction. So she tried to call in and be like, "Oh, is that my ride? Is that for me?" Like this arrogance, this entitlement. Like, no, it's not for you. So I don't know who that might resonate with, but yeah, yeah, you can tell when it's they're not they're not positive. It's like they're like little, I don't know how to explain it. Anytime I'm in my dream, they're always doing something sneaky. They're either doing something sneaky against someone else and I'm witnessing it. And then I have to speak in tongues against them because they're always doing something, or they're trying to sneak into spaces they don't have no business being in. So I know how to catch those people. So for some of you, it's like you got to be able to discern people's intentions and who is who. People trying to insert themselves into your promise, into your purpose, into your blessing. And it's not to say that whoever is meant to be in your life is not going to benefit off of your blessing, because this isn't about you getting on or you getting some type of blessing and then everybody else just watches you and everybody suffers. If you have a good heart, you're going to give to people that are meant to. Yeah, attacking and chasing. Yep, that's what they do. Yep, they either attack, they chase you in dreams. Those are harassing spirits. If you guys are having dreams about those type of people, they're like harassing you in your dreams and stuff like that, those are harassing spirits. You need to speak against those too. And when you have nightmares, this is always good to do. Anytime you have a nightmare, sit with it, but pray over your dreams and be like, whatever that was, I rebuke it. If it's a dream where you're being harmed in the dream, whatever attacks or anything that's trying to be sent my way, I send it back to you. Whatever, however you feel led to, I cast it down. You have no authority here. You're not supposed to be in my dreams. God says we have authority over all demons and all evil things, all demon powers. We have authority over you. You don't have authority. You're not supposed to be in my space. You're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here? Get out. Simple as that. Um, but yeah. So the premise of this, I hope you guys understood, because I feel like sometimes I could just go all over the place, because sometimes the message I'll say what I'm picking up and what I'm being shown and what I wrote down, and then it'll be more of that expands upon that, and then it could go further and deeper into that, or I'll have revelations like, oh, that's what that meant. Oh, okay, yeah, yep. You can always tell like when they're trying to infiltrate. Like, let's say you have a good dream, like the dream is good. Usually, this is what I've learned. Like what I've learned in dreams is that when it's in the night time, when you're having dreams being in the dark, that's usually like there's a presence, there's a dark presence in the dream, or that dream may not be coming from the divine sometimes. So it's all about discernment. But the light in the dream, when it's sunny, when it's bright, when you see suns, when you see rainbows and stuff in your dream, those are divine energies. Those represent divinity. But sometimes you do got to cast out the dark, because I remember like I used to have dreams consistently of these same type of people in my dreams, and I would have to speak in tongues against them. It would be like this dark dream, and they'd be following me, or they'd be like harassing somebody else, and I had to step in and like shut it down real quick, like like those type of dreams. But you can have a good dream, and then all of a sudden like some type of weird, like something just comes in to like throw it off. That's how you know that's an infiltration. Like, get your ass out of here. Like, you gotta go. But oh, I almost forgot one thing. The colors. Hold on, let me get my dream book real quick. Hold on. Okay. So this dream book I have, it's by Tyler Wolf. It's called Biblical Dreams and Symbols. I like this. It has numbers in the dream, number meanings, and it has color meanings, and I forgot the colors. So let me see. We had green, the green teddy bear, so it means flourishing or life. What else? We had yellow, and purple is the Lakers. So purple represents loyalty. Yellow represents shining or gleaming or something of high value. Um, the suns, the suns be changing their. I think they got, what is their colors now? I'll just be forgetting. Like how funny. How interesting that you don't know your own team's colors. I don't pay attention to sports like that. Let me see. Um, this kind of looks like, it looks black and orange and blue. It's like different colors. So orange represents earthly qualities, can also represent danger. Oh no. Let me see. I think there's some purple, royalty. We already said that. Black, also a symbol of famine. I'm not getting that, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, take it as it resonates. There's some elevation, and you cannot be worried about what everybody else is doing. You can't be worried about what the left hand is doing, or the right hand, or what the enemy is doing, or oh, this person said this, or they doing that. Like, you cannot. Yeah, it represents life, flourishing is what the book said, but it could be money too. So it's a level up, something with a level up, blessings and opportunities. And like I said, it's something with doors I keep picking up. And of course, not every door is of the divine or the highest good to walk into. Not every opportunity is divine, but I'm getting with that light, that was the presence of God. And how they depict the presence of God is like this bright light. It's this bright, bright, bright light that it almost blinds you. It almost terrifies you because of its brilliance. It's, you can't describe it. So when I was walking closer to that door, the light that was coming out of the door, it was so bright, almost like blinding. Like, I could kind of see the walls a little bit, like on the opposite side, because again, it was this glass, this big glass window, like leading into that room. And almost like we're walking into another gym or something. But it was a big door that we were going into, and it was this light and I couldn't really see anything after that, and that's when my dream ended. I forgot something with glass. Did we talk about the glass or the windows? I think windows and glasses represent glimpses into something. Let me see. Um, uh, maybe it's under windows. I thought no, yeah, glass. Glass symbolizes clarity and transparency. But let me see, windows, windows. Let me see, windows. Symbolizes vision, insight, or a person's eyes. Yeah, so it's like spirits giving a glimpse into something. So that's how I know it's a prophetic dream. It was a glimpse into something, but I feel like I was meant to share it, and I was meant to share it at the time that I was, because I'm like, okay, am I supposed to share it on site like the next day that I had this dream? But I was led to go watch that movie with what's it called? The King of Dreams. Joseph, the King of Dreams. It's on YouTube. You gotta rent it or whatever. You probably can find it somewhere else. It's an animation, a DreamWorks animation movie, and I was led to watch that. And funny enough, I kept pulling this one card. It was, I don't know what this deck is called. It's this deck that I like to use, and it has like biblical references. It has biblical characters in it, and I love that. And the card Joseph kept coming out. Joseph and the Pharaoh card kept coming out. So TikTok, I have a TikTok, but I do my like cards and stuff on there. I don't feel like I'm ready for that. See, look, I'm trying to hide myself. I need to stop that. It's, you know, stop doing that. Trying to hide yourself. Yeah, be trying to hide. But yeah, Joseph kept coming to me, so I had to watch that to get the like, okay, the gist of it. But please pay attention to your dreams. Please pay attention to your dreams, and don't try to just go off of your own interpretation. Seek the divine, ask the divine to show you, ask God to reveal to you what it is that you're seeing, why you're seeing it. If you're not getting the answer straight away, that means you need to wait. Wait for spirit to reveal it to you. Don't jump the gun. Remember, I told you yesterday, I fell on my booty real hard. It was funny. I'm like, okay, my dream came to pass, but it was not, it had nothing to do with me like that. So you gotta be careful not to attach yourself to something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ask spirit. Because I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't getting a confirmation of anything. I kind of just settled and said, okay, maybe this is what you're saying. Yeah, assumption is never cool, right? What they say, when you make assumptions, you make an ass out of you. And unfortunately, I did. Um, you know, just me personally, with just me and God, it wasn't anything that I did. And I was like, oh, I was so embarrassed. Like, no, kind of was just like with myself, like, you know, girl, like, you need to be more discerning of stuff, because God never said that. That was never confirmed. So you need to be more careful with that. So, yeah, yeah. That's just a heads up. But when it's clear like this, where you have a knowledge and an understanding, that's how you know, like, okay, you know what it is. But if there's still that confusion, that element there, don't try to like twist it and make it resonate where it doesn't fit. That's dangerous. Um, and yeah, and even if it's a message that you don't feel like you're qualified to say out of fear, you can't do that to yourself. You can't. You know, who are we to say if we're qualified to speak or not? God calls us. Whether we see ourselves as fit, qualified, or perfect or imperfect enough, it doesn't matter. And that's another thing too, is um, worried about the opinions of what other people are going to say. And that, I think God was pointing that out in my dream. I'm going to be transparent with that. Obviously, I shared that with you guys, that I was insecure in my dream about my appearance, and I was looking at my shoes, and I was trying to hide from the basketball players looking at me and my friend. I was trying to hide, like, oh, like, no, don't, you know, trying to be shy and hide and all that stuff, right? But that has to go. And I'm gonna be transparent again with this. I feel like sometimes I'm not qualified to fully operate in my prophetic gifting, because I feel like people are going to judge me because of the fact that I read cards, and oh, well, you can't say that, or you're a false prophet because, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. Nah, like, I know what I've been called to since I was a child. I've been having this gift since I was little. Cards just came later in the picture. That's whatever. But trying to avoid the opinions of man is something that um, it's got to go. So I don't know. That might relate to some of you guys in that instance, and feeling like, oh, well, I don't know if my voice fits in any demographic. Like, when I talk about this, people that watch my channel because they want to hear readings, they might not. They might be like, girl, I ain't trying to hear that. Oh, shut that Bible stuff up. Oh, nobody wants to hear about God. Oh, nobody wants to hear about Jesus. Shut up, bitch. Right? Nobody wants to hear that. Just read the cards or read about my man and when he coming back, right? And then prophetic people like, oh, who in the hell are you to speak over here with your cards and all of that? Like, and mind you, like, this stuff, I don't be using cards. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you what I'm being shown. Um, so, right. Nobody can say that. That's one thing that I'm really getting in my spirit, because Jeremiah 29:11, or the story of Jeremiah, always like kept coming to me. There was a point wherever I would open my Bible, it would go directly to Jeremiah. So, and if y'all want to know, if you don't know who the prophet Jeremiah was, he was young and he kept trying to convince himself, or like try to convince God, like, or reason with God and be like, why you want me to be a prophetic voice? I can't speak to these people. I'm too young for that, you know? And God was like, wait a minute, who are you to tell me? I knew who you were before you were even in your mama's womb. I called you. I knew who you were. So, man, they may not understand in hindsight who you are, or they can't validate your gift. They can't validate your gift. They can't tell you what your purpose is, what you've been called to. Some people might be able to see a calling on you, but they're not the one to validate it, nor dismiss it, nor rebuke it. They can't. They're not God. They're not the creator. They didn't create you. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. It is hot in here. I think it's these lights. And I got this sweater on. I'm sweating. It's hot. It's I don't know what. But yeah, that was the message, y'all. I just wanted to share that dream, and there'll probably be many more dreams that I'll be led to share with you guys, but that's just one of them. I hope that it's clear. Do not be derailed or distracted by what everybody else is doing. If there's any type of discrediting or trying to shrink yourself, don't allow it, because Spirit's trying to take you somewhere higher, some type of place of elevation and growth and abundance in some area. And also keep in mind, when it seems like you're walking the path alone, or you feel like you don't know what you're doing, where you're going, you're in this dark place in life, nothing's working out, or it seems like nothing's working out, you just feel like you're in a place of despair, and it doesn't seem like God is in the midst. God is there. Matter of fact, even closer, because when we're in those places, that's when we can seek out our creator the most, when we're in those places, if that makes sense. And when I say this, like, this might seem like a contradiction or confusion, but when I talk about God and I talk about the Bible, I'm not talking about it from a religious standpoint. I'm talking about from a spiritual standpoint. Spirit, honing in on the spirit and the essence of God, not off religious dogma. I can read the Bible in a way that makes sense to my everyday life, because we've been taught like the Bible is this thing of this condemning, this book of condemning. And yeah, it's been interpreted, it's been tampered with to some extent. And that's why you have to read it in spirit. You have to read it in that spirit of the divine, the essence of that. You got to be in that presence to understand it and to interpret it. You can't interpret it with fear. You can't interpret it with judgment. You cannot interpret it from a place of confusion, because you're not going to understand it. You're not going to get it for you what that means. I can read any book and find God. That's the thing about God. Like, we try to put God in a box. You can find God in anything. God speaks to us in anything, even the most foolish things. I will use the foolish things to confound the wise. You can find God in anything and anybody, and that's why I have to be careful of judging the message and where it's coming from sometimes. Yeah, use your discernment always, but you can look at somebody or you can look at a situation or look at something and be like, oh no, God can't be in it because no, that's you're being limiting. You're being judgmental. Unless it speaks to you, but if it doesn't, discard it. It's so amazing. Like I'm telling you, like getting to know God is beyond religion. Like I don't know how to explain it. Anything that I need to know or ask, I could find it. And yeah, and the reason why I talk about the Bible, because like I said, it's messages in that. It speaks to my life. Seasons of where I am in my life, I can find someone in the Bible right now that speaks to what I'm dealing with right now in my life. Their name might mean something. I might come across a person with a certain name of somebody in the Bible, and I'll know that God is speaking through that person about something to me, or they might need to hear something in particular. And because I was revealed that name, that message might, come out of that scripture. Or if it's not a scripture, if it's numbers, if it's colors, if it's a dream, God speaks through anything. Some people are like, oh, the tarot is this, tarot is evil, and blah blah blah. Like the origins of the tarot wasn't meant to be used for divinational purpose. Yeah, the Bible says to not seek out predictions of the future, and that's why I tell y'all sometimes, like I don't like seeking out. I'll look at only what I'm meant to see. I don't want to seek out, oh, can you tell me my future? No, if that's not what God's telling me, if I'm not getting that, I'm not going to say that. But the origins of the tarot was really a disguised, disclosed Hebrew. Had the alphabet, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet were hidden in the 22 major arcanas. And they were kept because at that time in under Roman rule, either you convert to Catholic or you're not going to be able to live in here. You're not going to be able to live here. You're not going to be able to work here. So you either convert to Catholicism and let go of the Hebrew stuff, or you know, so that was the issue that they had to face. So allegedly, what they did, and you can find the Hebrew symbols on each 22 major arcana. They all had a different representation of what that meant, and they shopped it as a game thing, a playing game. So when people use them, it was like to keep that custom there and cloak it as a game. Eventually, the game started being shopped around and people using it, putting different interpretations with the popes and all of that, because it was influenced by the Catholic Church and all of that. And then eventually the royals got a hold to it and put the courts, the kings, the queens, the pages, the knights, and all of that in there. And then the minors came later and it became a divinational tool. But originally it was not a divinational tool. But yeah. Not saying that you should or you shouldn't use tarot. That's really up to what divine allows you to or calls you to. So I can't say that it's something that you should or you shouldn't do. I'm not gonna be one of those people, those religious people. Oh, your tarot is bad. Like it's not for everybody. Yeah, you got to be discerning. Like anybody that has something, a tool, a gift, or an ability to do something, it's all about what's in the heart of that person, what's in the intentions of that person, and whether they've been called to something or not. So someone can take the Bible and abuse it and twist it and interpret it in a way to mislead and confuse people. But does that make the Bible evil? No. Anyway, all right. Much love as always. Y'all be blessed. Be safe. Take care. Peace.